Hello, everybody. This is Bill Pienias and another FitTalks. I am very, very excited to be with a great leader and tremendous friend, Jon Sanchez. So today I'm honored to sit down with someone who has and knows firsthand what it means to be a leader under pressure. Jon Sanchez is the CEO of Team Performance Institute. He's a former Navy SEAL, and actually, you never are a former; you're always a Navy SEAL. And I know that was one of those things that I learned very early on. Um, Nationally recognized as in leadership and in peak performance coaching. He's gone from the battlefield to the boardroom, and Jon has dedicated his life to building elite teams and resilient leaderships. Um, he's not only guided Fortune 500 executives and professional athletes, he's also leads his most important team, and that's his family. We call Team Sanchez. Um, he's known as the affectionate leader, though his wife Anya may debate this, as the leader of Team Sanchez. So excited to dive into some of these topics and your journey, your mission, and the principles of peak performance. Thanks for coming on the show
Hey
today.
man, Bill, it is so awesome to be back with you yet again. Bill Pinus, lifelong friend, lifelong brother, and honored to be here, honored to be, in this conversation with you. I love what we have going on, and I'm happy to be here. And I think my wife definitely would have some argument, or at least some type of a say into who's the leader. But
I
I think we're
agree.
all leaders, and that's kind of what this is all about. So honored to be on with you, and honored to be part of this program.
Well, I appreciate you being here, and it is great to be with you. We have known each other a long time, and there's some things that I already know about you, but there's some things that I don't. And we've had several discussions back and forth about leadership. I want to start off with just kind of the basics. How do you define leadership, and what is a leader?
It's a great question. I mean, leadership can be defined in so many different ways. I believe it's the way to inspire and motivate others to get them to coalesce around a certain goal that they otherwise wouldn't be able to without your presence, right? Getting them around and to accomplish, not only coalesce around the idea, but also accomplish something due to your presence and who you are, to inspire, to lead, to educate, all those things. Leadership defined, by the way, because we study it here, has so many different methodologies and so many different philosophies to it that the more I learn about it, the less I know. It really is one of those things that you really have to work on. If anything, Bill, I would say leadership's a skill. It's a skill that you have to work on. It's a skill you're not going to get right. In fact, if you're trying to get it right like all the time, you're going to fall down a lot. Leadership is often lonely, and it's one of those things that if you embrace it and you do it really well, the benefits to good leadership, the benefits, your personal benefits to working on your personal leadership and becoming a good leader are so tremendous as you go through this journey of life. To look back and see that not only did you inspire people to do things that they couldn't have done, that you were part of their growth, and you look back, and I think the real pinnacle for me is to see other people that I had the honor and privilege to lead that are now leading others, and they're almost modeling, or they're doing things that are even better than I did for them. That's so fun to look back on. So a kind of a long answer to that question. I think we could probably spend an entire hour talking about the
Absolutely.
definition of leadership. But it's hard. That's the last thing I'll leave it. Leadership is hard. Leadership is tough. And it's one of the great things that we get to do at Team Performance Institute is help people try to be better leaders every day. A very tactical way of going about development.
No, you're right. We could, John, talk about this for hours because it is a skill. And as you and I both know, is our early career, you start off one way and now you become a different person, really, because you've refined skills, learned new skills, mastered some other skills, maybe even communication, different ways, possible environments and teams and all those things. And speaking of that, I know that Team Performance Institute helps people win because
Yeah.
they have a goal and their goal is might be a big goal. How do you define winning?
Well, you have to define winning every day. Like that's the thing. That's fun. Yeah, defining winning. You think about life overall, it's way too big. It's way too encompassing. If you look at a good life, you can look into and read all of the autobiographies or biographies of all the great leaders and all the great people in the world, and you'll say like, whoa, that's like unattainable. It feels so large, so big. But if you realize that all of them had this massive journey that they went on, and if you chunk it down and break it down into year by year, or maybe even decade by decade initially, and then break it down into what it looks like. When we work with teams and individuals, first, I think it's a great question. The first thing I ask them to do is really define winning. What does winning look like for your organization, for your team, maybe for your family, just over the next, make it a bit short term, like the next month, you know? Um, when we went through, 5 years ago, went through COVID, sitting around the kitchen table, I was like, whoa, this is a whole different world and what this looks like. And as a family, we decided to define what winning would look like for us over the next week or two as COVID first hit. This goes for, by the way, any team, organization, family relationship that has any changes that they're going through. Sat down and said, hey, what does it look like? What does winning look like? How do we support each other in our own winning over the next 2 to 3 weeks? And how do we set ourselves up for success? And it became very tactical, very simple. Well, we need to have certain areas in the house that are going to be more reasonably quiet. We have certain areas we called coffee talk areas. We started to develop these little pods, these little things to help us all feel like we're working together around a bigger goal. Every kid had their own level of education that they had to follow on. Oh my gosh, go back to COVID. It's like awful if you think about like all these online courses and what they had to do. And then we had to figure out how we're going to build each individual life in this now family unit that we're all living under the same roof, trying to, my wife's job, my job, each kid's jobs, if you will. And then how do we keep the family unit running, simpatico. So it was really wild, but defining winning was our start to that. And if you define it and you break it down day in and day out, I like to define winning almost every day. I look at my schedule. It's way too full. So all you executives out there with, here's the good news. You're going to die with a full inbox. You're going to die with a task list that's huge because you're doing life right, right? So take that task list or that inbox and break it down and say, here's what winning looks like. And I will put on my schedule, if I accomplish these, if I look at my huge list, if I accomplish these three things, I put W's next to them. That's what winning looks like. And I look at my day, and as many of our days go, it doesn't go as planned. It's going to go all over the place. I get to do really cool things with great people. And I tend to spend more time on things that I don't necessarily, maybe I shouldn't, but then I draw back and go, okay, what's winning? I look at those tactical things. You do that day in and day out, your week looks really great, your month looks really great, your quarter looks great, and then soon enough, you just have this, continuous success pattern that builds year over year for you. That's how I.
Yeah,
That's how I
that's so
define.
true.
That's how I break it down in terms of defining winning. I think it's a much bigger conversation.
I love it because win the day is one of the things that I have coined for myself. So you explained it perfectly. I remember the day when you and I were walking in Germany together, and you said I had this idea, and it's the company about coaching and training and performance. You remember that? It was
I remember that day so well. We were walking out of Marienplatz and we are walking back to the hotel, and just having a great time and a great talk. And you've always been a great mentor to me, helped me kind of see the future. You're a visionary, which is great as a president to have that sense of vision, like you could do this, and this is what you're going to need. But I remember that talk very
you're
well,
too
and
gracious, my
here we
friend.
are, and here I am, 10 years into my own business, and
It
couldn't do
is
it without
amazing.
people like you, friends like you. You were the very first person to hire me to come speak. It was because another one of my teammates here at Team Performance Institute didn't have the ability to come do that speech. Chris Haggerty couldn't make it.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember. And never look back, my friend. You not only are an unbelievable person, but obviously CEO of a company. And I wanted to get to that point. What is the mission behind Team Performance Institute? Many people, they hear it, they say, "What does this mean? What does that mean?" They hear about you being a leadership guru, and you're a SEAL. There's
Yeah,
certain like stereotypes that go through people's heads.
yeah.
What does it mean?
I hate those. I honestly don't really like any of those stereotypes. Kind of flush them out. It's
Yeah.
fun. It's really, really fun to be me because yes, I do have a Navy SEAL background and I have all the stuff that I got to do. I was blessed and honored to do for our military a long time ago. But in reality, it's a more holistic piece to me. I feel really lucky to have done everything I did, Navy, and then I went into finance, as you know. So,
Mhm.
a lot of your agents that there, I really can, empathize and understand building a business and working super hard to connect really
Yeah.
well with my clients. And so I did that for, 16 years. And then I got into this. It's just been, an amazing progress. It's been an amazing journey. Um, I think about, when you think about what where it started to where I am now, I don't typically like to gather around all of the stereotypes, but more think about just trying to be the best person that I possibly can every day, understanding that that's a journey that I'm going to make mistakes. My personal purpose and mission is to help others get to the next level, no matter who they are, whether they're a homeless veteran or a CEO. I feel like the training that I've had is some of the experiences that I had and training as an executive coach and now running a leadership institute to help them just kind of have a space to get better, to see and to work at themselves. The goal of TPI is to provide a positive impact to the world, a real positive impact by teaching the soft skill development that will impact not only the people that we're teaching, but all of them underneath. I feel like I set out this mission in life to have a positive impact, and I decided to go into leadership training because I think leaders can really affect many, many, many people.
Yeah.
And our goal is collectively now is to help people get to the next level. And we love to meet clients exactly where they are. It's a holistic approach to life. It's a holistic approach to every client that we get to be with.
And so, speaking of that, how do people engage with you? Is it from a corporate level? Is it from an individual level? And I know you've coached a number of different types of people, from CEOs to athletes to, like you said, homeless veterans. How do people engage with Team Performance Institute?
Yeah, it's such a good question. It kind of goes into history, right? So you're the very beginning. Let's put Bill Pinus as like the milestone number one right there. You know,
Yeah,
it's kind of cool if you think about it. That was
it
back in
is.
2007. I remember it and I remember it really well. We went to the Greenbrier
That's right.
2007 and it was in the early fall, like
Hmm.
probably August, September-ish time frame. And at that point, I had no company, nothing. It started out with doing speaking events, and I learned a whole lot on the road speaking. So I was doing speaking events, using my SEAL team background to kind of highlight certain tenets of leadership that we can infuse into corporate America and help leaders or people see things differently. It started that way, and it was a really fun journey through word of mouth. So when people are engaging with me first, it was all speeches. After I did so many speeches, I was like, hey, I don't necessarily want to go around the whole country giving speeches every day. That's great, but it takes me away from my family. So I started another product called executive coaching. So I went to school and became a certified executive coach, which was fantastic. It taught me so much about myself. And then it taught me so much about really how to deeply engage with others, to help them to really help them follow their path. Everybody's on their own hero's journey. Yeah, I
Hmm.
might have had a cool background, but that has nothing to do with a lot of people or their success. I can use my path to help others. And you've said this to me, like sometimes only our only job is to shine the light on other people's paths as they go by to help them see down the road. They have to do all the walk and they have to do the journey. So executive coaching became something. And then once executive coaching was up and running, I ran in too quickly. I had too many clients. So I had to start bringing on new coaches. And that just started this whole wonderful spot where I'm going out speaking and everybody wanted coaching. And then soon thereafter, one of my companies that I got to work for came to me and said, can you build a robust leadership development program? Which we did. And that was back in 2019. We launched our first virtual training program, which has been wildly successful for 5 years. So now we have these full on scale learning modules that people can plug into, watch and see. They can do online, as well as they can get an executive coach to go along with it. They can plug into our webinars. So we really very quickly ramped up to being an executive coaching firm that does a lot of leadership training. And we are now officially launched TPI online, so it's full online training. So at a lower cost than our typical executive coaching, or like we put facilitators out, and we're all over the country now. We put facilitators in different cities every week, doing workshops with teams and companies. Now we're doing it online, super fun, and we have all this incredible research and development, latest and greatest around all the skill development that you need to be a leader. So everything from communication to having difficult conversations, executive presence, growth mindset, transparency, emotional intelligence, managing complexity. All these are our training modules that are really robust and done. I've spent, Bill, holy cow, way too much time that makes me comfortable in front of a camera, shooting videos, doing all this cool online training.
Right.
I never saw myself doing, but it goes back to where I think I started in the very beginning. Like, you just embrace the day, right, with what's coming down the pike, and be open to understanding where your life may go and what is possible. Don't be afraid to dream. I tell my company, my head belongs in the clouds. Keep me up there. You guys handle the tactical. Let me dream, because I'm gonna build some really fun stuff. I'm gonna dream some really good stuff, and we're gonna build it together. And as a team, we're just having an absolute blast. I couldn't be more proud or happy about the team that I've assembled. They're coming here this weekend we used to call them offsites for team, and we called them retreats. Now we're just calling them reunions, because it is the greatest team. One of the greatest teams I've ever been on is the Team Performance Institute. It's just a family. Really
Wow, that's
excited.
great. That's great. No, thank you for sharing. And as you were reminiscing about that, I remember that journey you were on. I also found you mentioned something about leadership of terms of growing and being a leader. Sometimes people get put into a leadership role either unwantedly, or
Yeah.
they do it mostly wanting. The goal, I know when people want to be a leader and they want to develop leadership skills, they approach and attack learning differently.
Yeah.
But sometimes the best leaders are ones that actually don't really want to be there.
Yeah.
And so I want to pivot just for a second, because I think it's important to know you and I had this discussion before. You can lead wherever you're at. You don't have to
Yeah.
be at the top. Wherever you're at, you can lead yourself. You can lead other people. You can master your craft, which is a natural leadership position, because you mastering your craft, you can share with people. I want to go to this important question. I've never asked this question of you. Why did you want to become a SEAL?
Mm, great question. Great question. Really, if you looking back at my military, uh, the chapter of my life, which was the military. When I was super young, I decided I want to go to the Naval Academy, and that was fun. I mean, that was a good process to have as a kid. Like at 14 years old, I made that decision, which put me on the right track. I had to be super disciplined to get
Right.
to the academy. People ask me, did you do it for God and country and core? Was that your thing where you're waving the flag? And I'd love to say, yeah, I was all in. Actually, that was a part of it, but it wasn't predominantly the reason why I wanted to serve initially. The reason I wanted to serve initially was I really wanted to challenge myself at a young age. I really wanted to try something that most people weren't doing. I wanted to be better. I didn't see myself just going to a regular university. I saw myself at the Naval Academy, and I saw myself surrounded by like-minded individuals trying to like really work on themselves, work on myself. I was initially just into the idea of I want to serve and do something pretty cool. At the academy, I got into and got to see during the summers. You go to school all year long, but the summers you get to go do all these cool trainings all around the different various professions that you can assume in the Navy or the Marine Corps. So I got to train with the Marines. I got to go on submarines. I got to go, see aircraft squadrons, go ride in helicopters, go do all this cool stuff. And I got exposed to the SEAL teams. And in that exposure, I immediately was drawn in by how the community, and this is important, it was not about being super cool or shooting guns or jumping out of planes. It was really about, is this the right community that fits me? Am I in tune with this type of a organization? Does it feel like me? I loved training with Marines, actually. Like, if I look back at those summers, I had some best friends, and we just did all the Marine Corps training we possibly could. I loved being in the field and shooting and do all that cool stuff with the Marines. I wasn't as disciplined as Marines could be, and how squared away they look at their uniforms and how they march and how their shoes and boots are so shiny and all that stuff. It just wasn't my jam. I like to have hair. Marines don't have hair.
Yeah, right.
They're an awesome disciplined force, but holistically as a community, it didn't fit me. When I got to the SEAL teams, I saw these guys were just a little different, and that vibe really vibed with me. I was drawn into that community at, becoming the best, what I felt was at the time and still do. It's like, these guys are the best at what they do. They're really, really, really dedicated to their own personal performance in every aspect. And SEALs are multifaceted. So we're underwater. We have to learn how to be combat divers. We're in the air. We have to learn how to dive out or jump out of both dive and jump out of airplanes and helicopters, and every asset possible to get us onto target. They're land warfare. They're really good at everything on land, and then everything in between. So it's like, whoa, this is so me. This is so multifaceted, and it's always going to be a challenge. Drawn into that community, it was a no-brainer. Once I really saw it, I didn't really know what it was, and most people don't until they get an eyes-on view of it. There's a lot of books, a lot of movies, all that stuff. All that stuff is, some good, some bad. It's Hollywood. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. Some of the books are really good. Some of the books are really bad. But for me, I needed to see it. I needed to feel it. And once I saw it, I really, really, really wanted it. And at that point, I was laser-like focused, Bruce Lee-like focused at trying to get in there. Luckily, they accepted me, and I was able to go through training, and I made it through. So, yeah, man, it was a blessing, and probably one of the it was a small chapter if I look back on it in my life, but one of the greatest things I got to do outside of being a dad and a husband, like, oh my goodness, like, what a cool life-defining chapter, if you will. And you being a football player, if you get to play at a real high level, then you'll always carry those lessons with you. Those things stick with you. Your coaches, your teammates, when you struggled, when you lost, when you won, how did you become a better person when all of it's on the line? That's really, I think it's a really powerful thing to learn at a young age. And it's really in reflection of it all now. I wrote in my journals at the time, and I used to write a lot, I'm learning things at such a fast and high level that I'm not able to really reflect on it deeply. But I want to try to record it all here. And I think that's what I'm doing now. Now I'm an old guy. I'm a has-been. I've been out for a while, but it's like I get to reflect back on some of those things, I think if we all look at life's been teaching us lessons all along the way. Our bodies, I know it's a big part of your company, being physically fit. Our bodies are striving to teach us lessons, are striving to be our best friends, that we have to listen to our bodies and help our bodies, like, become a friend with your body to keep the longevity of all the things possible, because our physicality, and that's one thing I learned at SEAL teams, is so immense. Like, oh my goodness, your ability to do things are so crazy. One of the favorite things I love to do is watch the Olympics. And we watch the Olympics, you turn on, you're like, it doesn't matter if it's winter or summer or whatever, you're like, all right, let's watch wrestling. You're like, oh, look at the body type of him or her doing that. Amazing. And then you turn over to like speed skating and look at the legs on these guys,
Yeah.
and that powerlifting. And, think about every sport, think about the diversity of it. Look at, track and field. And then just think those are all human bodies. The human body wants to respond to what you train it to do, what you want it to do. And it's really neat. I know I got a little bit off topic there, but I love how it fits into, FinFit and where you guys are. And, you're talking about financial wellness as well as physical wellness. All of this falls in line. And I think we're missing, we forgot to mention in my intro that I was a financial advisor, right?
You're
For
right. I did forget to mention that.
for
Yes.
longer than I was a SEAL, I had a financial advisor. And I think the part of being a good advisor is also leading by example for your clients and trying to take care of yourself and trying to do the right things day in and day out physically as well as financially. So, and hey, a lot of grace, because if you got on this track late in life, that's okay.
That's
You
right.
have the ability to do so much right now, no matter how old you are. My mother-in-law, God bless her, is going to her very first Pilates class, and
That's
she's
awesome.
and she's approaching 80. Like she's like, let's go.
That's
It's
great.
time. So like it's never. So I just think it's great. I love your mission, Bill, of what you guys are doing. I think the country desperately needs. And I'm really happy with some of the health changes that we're making at very high levels in this country. But we desperately need financial fitness. We need physical fitness. We need more wellness in terms of our diet, right? And then
Hmm.
another piece that I'd put in, I know it's not part of your mission, but like culture fitness. Like, let's be really careful about what we're digesting, what we're taking into our systems, like if you're really, if you find yourself, you know uh diving into chocolate cake a little bit too much, right?
Right.
That's a
Right.
problem for your physical fitness. If you find yourself absorbing culture garbage, and you know what I'm talking, it's all out there, all the stuff
Hmm.
that's easy clickbait and all the stuff that really doesn't take us into the place where we really should be growing, man, that's your chocolate cake, for your brain and your soul. So really protect that voraciously, because it's a big thing, and you don't realize that it creeps in. A piece of chocolate cake's not going to kill anybody,
Right.
unless you're got a big gluten allergy and you're major diabetic. But no, piece of chocolate cake's not going to kill anybody, nor is clickbaiting on something stupid. But man, if you do that every day, every hour, it can get ugly for you, and you don't realize it catches up quickly.
Yeah, it's so true. If I'm going to pull out just a couple nuggets because I want to get into this next
Yeah.
area. One, I find it fascinating that you were, when you mentioned leadership can be lonely. And I know that when you were in Bud's training, you were the only officer actually in your class. And
Yeah.
most people don't know that. And that can be a lonely place because you're the only one. You've also been in a situation where I know that you had to make some real hard moral decisions, which makes it in a position where you're the only one that's doing it, standing alone on what I'll call a value of righteousness of doing the right thing. And I find it often many people, as they start going through this journey, they're like, man, life is so tough, but life happens for you, not to you. And
Yeah.
it is amazing how when you take it that way, you really can shape your life the way you'd like it to shape it, even though you may not be given the body or the even environment that you'd like to be in. You have some choices, and one of the things that I've noticed that, and I'd like you to talk about this because you're probably one of the best persons that I know in my life that can speak to this. That there are some common traits, and everybody can start developing these traits because they're learnable. If you want to be that way, you can make some decisions. That's what human beings can do. A lion's always going to be a lion, but a human being, if they want to change, we can change. What are some of the common traits that you find in high performance teams and or people? And then the other thing is, you mentioned about environments. What are some environments that you need to be around in order for you to be successful? It makes it easier to be successful, which means which environments do you need to get the hell away from?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. We can start there,
Yeah, let's
right?
start there.
Let's just start with, honestly, I think we intuitively and inherently know, right, which environments are the wrong ones for
Right.
us. Sometimes it's fun to fall into it for a little while and to hang out. And you think most people, I do believe most people think that they're good people. And I honestly, I'm one of those people that believe in people. I believe that most people are good people. But you really want to do a character test. If you want to look at yourself and like really dissect it. I mean, I would think, yeah, I'm a good person. I do this and that. Well, let's break it down in the last 24 hours. Just look at like what I have done just in the past 24 hours. What environments have I chosen to be around or to be in? What are the people? What are some of the habits that I've had? And if you really want to be crucial or critical, well, there's probably some changes that each and every one of us can make. And I'm part of,
I'm guilty.
right? I'm with you, man. I'm like 100% on board with this whole thing. Like, in no way, when you said guru, I'm like, no, let's not talk about guru. That's like a kryptonite word for me. I don't know. I'm struggling through this life like every other person. I am
Mhm.
100% on board. I got to do cool things and continue to get to do really neat things with my life. But I am as human as every single one, probably even more. And I probably made more mistakes than most people listening because I am part of that. I mean, it's part of the human condition. We're all born with it. We can't escape it.
Right.
Finding the right environments for you is extremely important. What you'll find in the right environments is the right people. So I think one of my tenets in life, the second rule of engagement for me, is to surround yourself with the best people.
Mhm.
You do that, a lot of good things happen. I tell my kids, like, show me your friends and I will show you your future. Simple as that. Like, we think that now my kids were of teenage ages when I told them that. Now I got one who's 21, one 19, one 17. I think that's really important. I really do believe that like you try to have as deep of an impact you can on the people that you get to lead, but more importantly is creating the culture and putting the people around those people so they're life enhancing to them. And we all know when we're in the room with somebody that makes us better. Like, wow, that
Mhm.
person sees it in a different way. That person responded differently than I said. And you said something early on in the question around like how you respond to things. Like Khalil Gibran has this great quote, and I'm not going to get it exactly right, but it's how a man's ability to adapt and adjust to things that happen to him in his life is how he'll be measured, as opposed to all the things that he's done or accomplished. It's his ability to change or his ability to see and adapt and adopt a new way of doing things after things have happened to him. Life does happen, and it happens for all of us. And hell, we don't know what deck of cards we're gonna get.
Right.
They're all predestined. We just keep flipping them over, and oh, there we go. That's my card today. Some days you get to play it. Some days you're on top of the world, and some days you flip a card and like, there's that Joker again. Dang it! Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
Right.
So surrounding yourself with good people will create even better environments for yourself and everything like that. Some of the traits that I look up to are really, I just think that I tell this to my team all the time. I need more. I always tell my team, I need more you. I see the goodness in you. I want more of it. All of us have the ability to pull that goodness out of others, and all of us have the ability to lead. And inside every person is some really good things. They might be bent or broken. Hell, they might be completely killing it in this stage of life. So bring that out and encourage them to do that. And I guess the word I'm getting to is real or authentic. I know it's overused leadership term,
Right.
but if you brought this person into your organization or if you have the ability to be with this person, there's a reason for that. Bring it, man. Let's get more of you into the room. Let's see it. Let's go. You're gonna make mistakes with this. It's okay. Let's go. Just bring more of that person in. Be accepting of that. If you want to build a particular culture in your life, and you start seeing that goodness in others, you'll see it. You'll see it in more and more people. You'll be able to bring that in. If you create that space for people, boy, it's super fun. And I'm going back to creating the right environment. Um, I really appreciate a good sense of humor. To be fair and honest, like traits. Geez, man, nobody gets
Everybody
out of
needs a good
life.
laugh,
No,
right? Everybody does.
nobody gets out of this alive. This life
Right.
thing we're doing, nobody gets out alive. So if you're missing, and if you can't laugh at yourself, you're going to miss a lot of laughs.
Yeah.
So humility and sense of humor are really big for me. It's super hard. A prayer that I say is, Lord, show me humility and please don't make it too hard, because I've been humbled to the ground so many times. Um, and I think later in life, you realize that it's actually all going to be okay. Despite something really terrible happening to your family, which is, I think, is like those are the real things. But like, I mean, all the stuff that we think about is going to be awful, and all these things that you worry about, and all this stuff. Man, worry is a lot of wasted energy. Action wins. That's the first rule of engagement. Action wins. Go out and engage with your life at the best possible level that you can today. You know, you're not setting out to be a Hall of Fame football player. If you are, great, break that down incrementally. You can get there. Hundreds of people have made that, right? But just be the best you are today. That's all you got. Tell my boys who are both in the military now, and they're both going through training that is, tough, and sometimes it's survival. And I tell them, if your head hits the pillow at night at that place, you have won. You are winning. Get up tomorrow and do it again. You're going to be fine. That's because they found themselves in the right environment. They're now like they're on a good track, and it's at this stage of development for them. Later in different commands, it's going to be different. There's no longer when you put your head on the pillow when you're leading people, it's going to be different. They're going to measure success differently. But right now, it's just winning. That's what winning is.
So you mentioned something that's profound. I want to stop for a second because you said action wins.
Yeah.
And, that's so big. So many people think it's the right idea or it's the right words, but it's not action. It's like, what are you doing? So in a winning team, and as you're coaching many executives, I know this happens for me, is sometimes we're almost like, paralysis by analysis, or we want to do it perfectly instead of do it great. And perfect is always the problem with greatness.
Yeah.
How do you get and create an action environment?
Well, I think first you have to model it. You have to model that you're going to move forward, and you're going to do the best you can with the most information that you have. Simple as that. And you're okay with making mistakes personally, and you let your team around you to say, "Hey, we're gonna move this forward. I like this idea." Giving yourself the ability to make adjustments as needed. I'm not asking everybody to dive all in, just jump out of the plane without a parachute, right? That's not what but I'm saying, like, how many times and meetings and things you sit through and listening to people talk and all this stuff, and it's like, so who's doing something? What are we doing as a group about this? Action wins. So when it comes to teams, then we have to define, we started with defining winning. Like, what does this look like when we walk out of this meeting? Are we actually employing some type of tactic to help us engage with whatever problem or issue we're doing? Like, what's the takeaway, and how are we implementing it? Right? That's what action wins. When it's individual, things, we can all know that we sit around and think about things, talk about things. Great. But if we're not putting them into action, I don't really care. I mean, when I was a young financial advisor, I had just gone through all my training and got back to my desk. They sent us up to New York to do all of our cold calling and all that stuff. Oh, my goodness, that was a hard time. Being a cool Navy SEAL to then translating to being the guy who interrupts dinner is a really awful transition.
Yeah.
That is a whole other aside. But going into that, and I shared an office at the time with this young woman, and I said, we got all the tools from our training, we got all these plans. They gave us the templates. We have to make this many phone calls. why do we have such a fallout rate? Because we had 100 people in our class and like 10 survived, and from
Hmm.
financial training. Very similar to Buds, by the way. Very similar to SEAL training. So I don't know. Maybe that's a problem with me. I always find myself into awful environments where like I have to fight my way out. But um, she said something really simple. They just don't execute. They just don't execute on plan. You got your plan, go execute on it. Just do it. Simple as that. And I took that with me at that time and stage of my life as a young financial advisor where cold calling
Yeah.
really, really sucked. I did it. I just had to do it. I had to get on the phones. I had to create, and I hadn't seen the benefit behind the calls yet. The benefit behind the calls was I met lifelong friends actually that I cold called initially. These are
Hmm.
people that still talk to me to this day, look me up, send me
Awesome.
thank you notes, send me all this cool stuff
Yeah.
because I developed relationships with them. But action wins. It was like, can you build a plan? Great. Good for you. Is it the perfect plan? No, to your point. Perfection is the enemy of progress, right? Let's get things moving forward. One of my mentors, love him to death, General Stan McChrystal, said, if it's not moving, I can't steer it.
That's right.
Simple.
That's right.
Move it forward. Action wins. As simple as that. Execute on plan. If you don't like your plan after executing on it for a while, then tweak your plan. Simple as
Hmm.
that. Um, but it wins. Don't sit around talking about things. Stand up and model it. That hey, this is what we're going to move forward. As a leader, by the way, it's not on you to do everything. So don't wrap that yoke around and try to pull that. You'll quickly get tired. You're not going to make it. You need to learn how to empower your team and tell them go and act because action wins. And I got your back. When you make a mistake, I'll come in and we can work on that. Or if there's a problem, go start to fix it, and then I'll bring me in and say this is the direction I'm going. I'll go cool. That's great. Turn left 2 degrees and keep going that direction. You got this. Trust me to trust you, and let's have that relationship together.
That's huge. Man, that's good stuff, Johnny. Really good stuff. I know we only have a couple minutes left. I have one last question, and I think it's going to be good for everybody that's here. And you touched on it when you've known you were in the field as an advisor, helping people with their money. You've also been in leadership with talking to people that are on your team that might be struggling, and you've also are helping other leaders in other organizations. What would be the one piece of advice to somebody in that environment, either one, that would give them more courage or clarity in this totally chaotic world that has a million things coming at you at once? What would that
Yeah.
be?
You mean as a leader, like
Yeah, as a leader or someone that either is aspiring to be a leader or someone that's already a leader, what would be the advice in that world?
Oh, it's tough to boil it down to one. I can tell you, like from the 700 leadership battle scars I have on my back, Bill.
I've
Of
seen them.
yeah, of the times when you probably picked me up off the ground, like, come on, you're gonna make it. Um, because man, I made a lot of mistakes, and that's okay. Like I'm learning to really live with that. Learning to see that if I didn't make those mistakes, I probably wouldn't be where I am now, and that's a good
Right.
good point. Um, so I'm going to give you a few, and hopefully they help with some of the advisors or the agents that you have there, also with the clients, because I think it's a whole. I think it's kind of holistic. You know, one is be okay with making mistakes, but taking chances. Like be compassionate with yourself. Like a big scoop of compassion is good. Don't be afraid to be yourself. Be out there, be real, and people will respect that. That comes from for me when I first started leading in corporate America. I came out of the military. I went into corporate America, and after I thought with too big of an ego, my ego is too big. I walked out. I'm going to kill this. I'm going to be a bank advisor, or I was going to take over this huge, awesome team at a nice bank, and I've been leadership trained. I'm the blah blah blah. Man, did I fail? First 6 months, my engagement scores were lower than any other leader at my peer level, and I was like, I am dying. It hit me so hard. I actually didn't want to go to work the next day. I was ready to skip out of work. And that's how bad I felt. What I realized was my team did not believe my presence around them. I'm a very positive and futuristic guy. It's how I operate. Every day I got in front of them like, let's go, we got this, let's go team. And I was just this rah-rah cheerleader, but I hadn't stopped and listened to them and built this kind of really solid trust and rapport with them yet. So they didn't think I was real. They've never seen me have a bad day. And I was protecting them from that. So from then on, I allowed them to see me have a bad day. I was like, if they need to see me have a bad day, that's okay. I can go out and say, man, I'm struggling with this today. I'm having a hard time with this. And the people, boom, they immediately started to engage with me. They also thought I was too militant, I wasn't goofy enough. And I was like, are you kidding me? You know me all too well, Bill. I'm one of the goofiest dudes out there.
Right.
But I was coming across in a way that I thought I needed to for my role.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, it wasn't taking, because they needed actually me to be me. And so the greatest feedback for me was be yourself. And that's what I got from my 360. I did it. I mean, when I was failing, again, another great moment of like, okay, I need help. Let's do a 360 on me. I want to hear what everybody's saying. And I offered myself up for a full open kimono 360, which sucks, but there it is. Okay, my team didn't really see it, so I started to act and behave more like myself. So compassion number one, be yourself. It's okay to be yourself. Get out there and and make it happen. Humility is great. I think it goes a long way when you're able to tell people, because ultimately people you get to lead, if they care, and they should, if they don't, get rid of them. If they care, they don't want to fail you. They want to serve. They want to be a part of it. If they see you fail and you're humble about that failure, you're able to model, hey, I messed this up and we're going to work on this. We're going to do this better. I took us team in the wrong direction here. I've made mistakes personally with my own company to say, yep, we have to change our model. We have to change the way we're doing things because we're not having the impact that we should. Yeah, or I hired the wrong person and it changed the culture a little bit. I have to let go of somebody because I really want to protect us as a team. Mm-hmm. All those things modeled in that humility sense are I think really good. And then the last thing I'd say, probably the most important, is to listen. Listen more than you speak. God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth in perfect proportion, right? So, and this is everybody listening, this is my biggest mistake, I think, or early on and up until recently, is thinking that I needed to, as the leader, provide all the value, show that I know the way, all these things, which it's a bit ego driven. It's maybe even a bit like, I'm trying to say, like, you're not as comfortable in the situation, so you're just going to go with what you know, and you have to show all this value. In reality, most people come to you, want you to listen to them, want you to hear them, want you to see them, and then try to bring it out in them, bring out solution among your team. I only have 2 eyes. I have a team of 20. That's 40 eyeballs that can see issues way even better or differently than I can. So I think if I had to pick one, I'd say listen, Bill. And I think in listening, you're going to learn a lot about yourself, which is going to help others.
Yeah, that's great. Jon, I know I could talk all day with you, and we've got to do
let's do it again.
But there might be a part 2 on this one sooner than later. Matter of fact, it'll be much sooner than later. And Jon, thank you for sharing your life with us. Thank you for running a world-class organization as an example of what an organization with leadership principles and guidelines, what it can do for others and what it can do for your own team. Really appreciate you being here. And to everybody else out there, I'm so glad that you got a chance to hear from a world-class person like Jon Sanchez. Make sure you subscribe, and we can't wait to provide more information and education to make you the better you. God's best, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.